How does a genius that's so smart communicate in a way that other people can understand without feeling dumb? I know I can make mistakes, man, but this is where I have not made a mistake. The people who can't buy at the webinar actually help increase sales.
Speaking and honing that skill.
I'm not a gambling man. I'm a man of increased odds.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode here. I'm super excited to be here with Andy Audate. He has blown up recently in the high-level community for his unique approach to selling high-level SaaS in a one-to-many format, so selling through webinars. And he has quite the come-up story to getting to a point where he has been as successful as he is inside of his software and coaching businesses. So super excited to have you on, Andy. Thanks for being here, man.
Keaton, man, it's a pleasure to be here, man. And yeah, Keaton's right. Essentially what we did with HighLevel is that we sold 300 customers all through webinars. And so we're able to grow pretty fast compared to the normal one-in-one many because we do webinars.
Yeah. And if you know me, I actually have a lot of videos where I talk about this. Like, it doesn't make a ton of sense to be selling one-to-one after a certain point because, you know, getting your first few customers, getting your hands dirty, understanding the software, certainly helpful. But if you're only stacking on, $200 a month for each client that comes on board, it's going to take you a long time to quit your job. It's going to take you a long time to build a business of substance. And so one-to-many is one of the only ways I see SaaS being a sustainable model for most people long-term. Before we dive into the gems on how to go one-to-many, how to scale without a massive team, which I've heard you talk about before as well, and just how to live that amazing SaaS lifestyle, give us a bit of background. What led you to where you are today?
At 19 years old, I was the youngest T-Mobile franchise ever. So 19 years old, I had 4 locations with T-Mobile. And I left that industry because I didn't, at 19, 20 years old, what was more important to me was freedom and being able to travel, see the world, and so on and so forth. So, for example, like last week, actually just 2 days ago, today I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, but just 2 days ago, I was in Manila, Philippines with my staff who manages my SaaS. And the fact that I was at the airport thinking to myself, like, oh, shoot, like I'm living the dream that I thought at 20 years old that I wanted because I travel around the world. I operate my business from my laptop and I'm able to just jump on a Zoom call at any given time and do a presentation to sell my SaaS, get SaaS customers, and our onboarding is all automated. Our emails and follow-up is all automated. So it keeps the customer paying monthly. And if I just continue to just do this, I can live whatever lifestyle that I want. And I think that if we understand the formula, you can live whatever lifestyle that you want.
Love that. Okay, so 19, 20, you're doing T-Mobile, you end up quitting, but what's filled that gap in, between when you sold the T-Mobile businesses and now? What were you working on? How did you stumble into the high-level universe?
I exited the cell phone space. I owned kiosks. Some of my locations were kiosks in the malls. And when I was at the kiosk, I was listening to motivational content, getting myself pumped up to go sell more units of the cell phones. I would sell iPhones, Galaxies, Samsung Galaxies, whatever. And one of the specific motivational speakers that I was listening to, his name was Les Brown. He's a motivational speaker. And I was listening to him to prime my mindset. And what I was doing also is I was leading my team to listen to his content as well because it was helping my mindset. I'm like, it's going to help yours as well to help you guys sell more phones. And because in the mall, people are walking by and your kiosk, and your job is to go and get them to come to your kiosk and sell them $1,000 phone. They didn't even walk into the mall. They went to the mall to go to Macy's. They went in the mall to go to JCPenney or whatever. They didn't come to buy a phone. But how do you condition your mind to handle the rejection that typically happens when people say, no, I'm not interested? And it was all through that motivational content. So I started listening to that content. When I left that industry, I kept on listening to that content. And one of the things that I said is, I want to do what he does. I want to inspire people. I want to motivate people. So I saw an ad on Facebook for one of his courses, and I joined his course. And the next thing you know, I learned the strategy of motivational speaking through his course. However, one of the things that I do say is that the opportunity is going to show up. I left the industry and I moved from the East Coast, which is where I'm from, Rhode Island, small state in the country, and I moved to Los Angeles. And when I got to Los Angeles, That's when I saw his ad on Facebook. So I see his ad on Facebook, and one of the things that I say is that opportunities in the show up. So I click on his ad, put in my name, email, and phone number, and then a salesperson calls me and says, "Do you want to join his program?" I said, "Yeah, but I want to come see you guys in the office." So I fly down to Miami. I go to meet his salesperson at the office, and Les Brown, the number one motivational speaker, he's done stages with Eric Thomas, Tony Robbins, and so on and so forth. He happens to walk in one out of the 2 times in the year that he does. He happens to be there at the office, and he looks at me. I'm dead shocked and looking at him. He looks at me. He says, "Young man," he touched my face. He says, "You look like me when I was younger." And I'm like, "Yo, you sound like YouTube." And and then he chuckled a bit. And then I said, "I'm not leaving this office until I get a photo with him. I want to see what I can, like, I want to do something with him." I joined his course, but there's more to it if I can be around him, right? The course is just a bunch of videos. What I wanna experience is the connection and relationship. So I stayed at the office and I was ear hustling, which is just listening in on a conversation that he was having. And he mentioned that he was going on a national tour, and this was back in 2016, and he was going on a national tour. And I went to his right hand man and I told him, I said, "Hey man, I want to be on that tour with you." And next thing you know, they gave me an opportunity to be a salesperson. And as a salesperson, what I had to do is I had to go inside. Like, I'm thinking I'm going to be a motivational speaker. I'm going to travel across the country speaking on stages. But really, I had to go and fill up the seminars, and I wasn't even there for most of the events. And what that looks like is, let's say a motivational speaker is having an event on February 1st. Well, January 1st, 4 weeks earlier, I'm sent into the market. They pay for my hotel, they give me a car, and so forth. And my job is to go and sell tickets. And I would have to go on, do one on many presentations. So I would go to a car dealership and I'll speak to 60 people and I would inspire them and motivate them. No camera crew, no social media branding like what you see today. It was literally just me going and inspire people. And at the end, I would give them all an opportunity to buy a ticket to go and see the big speaker speak. If I had a bunch of people in front of me, I would sell a bunch of tickets, and then you do that a few times throughout the week, multiply that by 4 weeks, you end up getting 200 people at your event. And that's what I was doing before any of the big speaker will show up. So 4 weeks ahead of time, I'm marketing. When you're marketing in person, the next
Yeah.
transition is to do online marketing. And that was what it was for me. To make my job and my life easier, you're telling me I could run an ad and get them to a funnel and show a video sales letter that ultimately does kind of the same idea that I was doing and create a similar result. So I introduced myself to digital marketing, and then that's when I found HighLevel. And then when I got HighLevel, Sean and the team told me about this thing called SaaS and how you can sell it as your own software. Ironically, for me, I was a joint venture affiliate of another software company called Keep, or Infusionsoft, formerly known as Infusionsoft. And I was there number two out of their biggest, all the people that they have. I was number two. And what I did is I held webinars for their speaker. So I took the same strategy and the skill set that I did for Les Brown, hosting other people's events, and so on and so forth. And I would just go to a Keep representative, and we did a deal, and a financial deal that was very lucrative for both of us. And I said, "I'll fill up your online seminars." And it started off in person, and then the pandemic happened, and then we just transitioned to online. So we started selling a bunch of SaaS sales. I didn't understand. I was so focused on the front end money that I didn't know about the back end money that they were making. And then Sean enlightened me with the opportunity for me to do it on my own. So instead of having someone else do it, I just did it for myself, where I started hosting webinars. I've done over 300 of them. And I started hosting webinars for me to sell my SaaS rather than selling someone else's SaaS. And that's how I got into the game of SaaS sales on webinars, because I have the background. But most importantly, I already found that it worked. I already saw the amazing results that it did. And yeah, that was my journey, man.
Very cool. I love the Les Brown story and the in-person speaking, like the Rocky cutscene of like flying to different cities and speaking and just speaking and speaking and honing that skill. It's easy to look at somebody in your position and say like, "Oh, it's easy. You just create a webinar and then you sell on the webinar." But you've honed these skills for years, and I think it's super important to remember that.
Yeah, some of the challenges that I had, man, is it may sound easy, and I may say the way I may speak it may sound like it's easy. However, I've gone to events where it was complete duds. Like I've gone to real estate offices where they're like, you're in your 20s. I'm still in my 20s today, right? They were like, you're in your 20s. I'm not interested in buying someone for so young. I've had people with the wrong mindset that the manager is trying to make a shift in their team, so they bring me in to speak, and then at the end of my presentation, I'm selling tickets to the event, and no one will buy. No one
Mhm.
goes ahead and buy, right? And so I've had those experiences. I've had the nerves, like I'm so nervous. I am I'm so nervous to speak. I remember this one time I was at a location and I was in the bathroom and I was like panting and I was like, oh my gosh, what are they gonna say about me? Like the whole journey of speaking and presenting, I've gone through every up and every down that there could possibly be in that world. But the thing that I tell someone is just do it and do the practice. You do it enough times, it's going to become super easy for you to accomplish successful wins in selling your SaaS because you're going to create the knack of it. You're going to know what's valuable for them. And you're also going to give an opportunity to enough people to communicate to enough people rather than you doing it one on one.
Got it. So, how do we get people to show up to a webinar to sell our Go High Level SaaS? But before we get started, I just want to give a quick word for our sponsor, HighLevel. If you don't know already, HighLevel is the top sales and marketing solution for any business, but particularly agency owners or anybody that needs a software product to resell to their existing customer base. It has everything you need to capture, nurture, and close leads for marketing clients. And the best part is HighLevel believes in not taxing the agencies on its platform, so you can get unlimited clients for one low flat monthly fee. The best features include a CRM, funnel, website and email builders, course hosting platform, robust marketing automation builder, a consolidated chat stream with WhatsApp, email, SMS, Instagram DMs, and Facebook DMs, reputation management, social media posting, tracking and analytics, and so much more. And as if that wasn't enough, HighLevel is fully white labeled, meaning that you can take the platform and put your own brand on the desktop and mobile app and resell it to your industry for whatever price you want. Essentially, what HighLevel has done is brought the bar for starting a software company way lower so normal people like you and I can help our clients with an amazingly robust software without paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in development costs. I am not kidding when I say hands down, HighLevel is my favorite software of all time. It has been integral to my success with my agency. It helped me increase my clients' results and retention, and I use it every single day for my own business. And if you sign up for HighLevel today, not only will you get a 30-day free trial, which is not available on their website, but you'll get all of the bonuses listed at itskeaton.com/mastermind, which gets you support, templates, and courses to kickstart your high level journey and get those first few clients or scale to your next few clients. If you're already a high level customer, you can also get all of those bonuses by upgrading to the next highest plan underneath my link. Instructions for that are also at itskeaton.com/mastermind.
So the first thing that I would do is you need to get a list. So what I've done is like I've shared with you, I've gone to the city. I've gone into the city, into a local city, and that's what I know how. I know that there's a lot of gurus or people online who would say run this specific type of ad and do this specific thing. That's never been my forte. My forte has been build a list, and the first way I build lists is I go to like eventbrite.com, one of those, or events.com or meetup.com, and I'll whatever city that I'm in, I'll just type in like business events or networking events, and then I would go to that event. Usually it's free, and I would just go to the host and I would just say, "Hey, can I share an opportunity with with your audience and give them an opportunity to receive additional value?" I have an event. It's called "How to Build a Multiple Six-Figure Business Through Social Media." I'm holding it in 2 weeks, and I would like to give everyone an opportunity. The ticket is valued at $149, but because they're here at your event, I want to come in behind you and add value to your audience. I'll give it to everyone for free because they're coming through your event. The host is going to be like, "You'll give everyone a ticket to the event for free?" And they're like, "Yeah." But because it's coming from you. So it already puts that host in a place of like being the value, the person of giving value. So now they get on stage and they're like, "Hey, we have an amazing opportunity for you. And that's because you came to my event. We're going to bring in Andy Audate, and Andy Audate is going to share with you about how to build a multiple six-figure business. And he's going to also give you an opportunity to go to his training. There's actually a cost of $150, but because you came to my event, you're doing business with me, you're going to get it for free." But without further ado, let's give it up for Andy Audate. And then I come up and I just tell them a few things, usually one or two points. And then at the end, I say, everyone pull out your cell phone and text a specific keyword to my phone number to get the link to join my event. And then everyone texts opt in. They all opted in, and it's all built inside of HighLevel. But they all opted in, and then they register for my event. And then at the web, you do that 10 times in a 2 weeks time span, you end up having 60, 70 people at your presentation now. And then out of that 60, 70 people, you give them all an opportunity to learn about your SaaS, why it's valuable, and at the end, you ask them to purchase.
Love it. Okay, so you start local and you're building the business versus selling the software, which I really like. I think it's an important distinction because there's a lot of business owners that don't want to switch softwares, don't want another recurring subscription. And so leading with that is not a great idea. Tell me more about the actual presentation. What is the multiple six-figure business that you're helping them build?
That is a very valuable thing that you picked up on. I don't talk, if you go to the landing page, like gosaaslaunch.com/webinar, that's the web page, gosaaslaunch.com/webinar. Once you go to the landing page to opt in, there's nothing about the SaaS. There's nothing about, it's all about how to generate leads on social media. On the presentation, I'm going to explain to them that in order to generate leads on social media, there's a couple of things that you're going to need. The first thing that you're going to need is something to give away for free, something that attracts your potential customer. That's called a freebie or a lead magnet. So you want to have this lead magnet. That could be one of the two. One is that it's going to be something that you have to create, like a Google, a guide or a document or so on and so forth. But because I've been doing it for so many years, Keaton, I just communicated in an even easier way that could get someone up and running the day of. I'll tell people you can actually go and get a YouTube link and promote someone else's video. But to get the link, you have to opt in and register. You have to opt in and register. So what I'm educating my customer. Now, this is not me telling people how to do webinars. Okay, so I'm educating my end user of my white label SaaS, which is called Progretta. What I'm telling them is go to YouTube, and for example, if you're in real estate and you want to tell people how to buy real estate in 2024, type in on your YouTube search bar how to buy real estate 2024. You find the video that's 1 million views, or you find a video that's 1,000 views, whatever. The video that you like the most, grab that link, add it to your workflow. In order to get access to that link, you have to give me your name and email and phone number. That's how my end user is getting leads now of people who want to buy real estate in 2024. And they're just promoting. So I'll tell my end user, hey, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, and so on and so forth. And you're going to say, hey, I found an amazing video on YouTube that explains how to buy real estate in 2024. And one of the things that I learned from it is that the inflation's going up, but interest rates going down, and that's what's allowing the wealthy to save money. I learned that in this video. If you want the video, send me a text message. Text me the word video to my phone number. And when they text video to that phone number, the first pop-up is, hey, I see that you want the video. What's your name? And then, but because we texted, we already have the phone number. Okay, great. I'll send you the video. And then the next response is, I'll send you the video to your email. What's your email? And the person responds with the email. And then in the automation or in the workflow, the email is then sent with just the link to the YouTube video. It takes 6 minutes to set that up if you have a snapshot or a template. And so my customer is able to go ahead and create wins. Their A2P, get A2P registered. After the A2P registered, within 6 minutes, they're able to set up a workflow that we gave to them in a snapshot. And they're going on social media and saying, hey, go watch this YouTube video that I found. And then at the end of the week, they're looking like, oh, damn, I just got 70 people to download this free YouTube video. But what it is 70 contacts of people who are interested in that content, which is ultimately something in alignment of what you sell. So if you sell real estate, you'll find a YouTube video on how to buy real estate. If you are a fitness coach, you'll find a YouTube video on how to lose 10 pounds. Doesn't even have to be your content. If you're in mortgages, how to get the best interest rate on your property, that's someone's YouTube video. Capture that and put it in your automation and start generating leads and start closing deals.
Love it. I love the nobody loses in this scenario, even though you're using somebody else's content, and it helps the newbies get over the hump of like, oh, I don't know how to create a lead magnet, so therefore I'm going to give up and never try.
If I was going to tell someone on how to get started in the SaaS, I would just say, hey, man, my friend Keaton, Like if I'm scared to be behind the camera, I would just say,
Mm-hmm.
my friend Keaton created an amazing video. I want to send you his video. Text me the word Keaton to my phone number, and I'll send you Keaton's video. Keaton's getting now views. We're sending people Keaton's way. And then
Yeah.
also in the interim, we got leads of people who are interested, and it's a win-win for everyone. Keaton wins, the customer wins, and then the customer wins because they got the information. We got a lead, and then if we can actually provide something valuable to that customer, then it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, it's a huge focus on the list. Super smart. So that's the first thing you teach on your webinar is this like quick win to build a list, and then you kind of showcase the features of the software and how that can help them continue to sell people, or what's the rest of the webinar look like?
So the framework for the webinar is I start off with my pain point, which was I used to go around the city. When I was going around in the cities, I had clipboards, and I would have to ask people for their name, email, phone number manually.
Mm-hmm.
My business was small because I had ineffective systems. I was making 5 figures a year, and I was overly stressed out. And what took me to 6 figures is by having the right technology. So then I show a picture of when I was very small in one of my events that I had like 6 people. And then I show another picture of one of my in-person events that had 400 people. So if you look at these two, it's like, okay, there's a big difference. And the big difference was the systems, the technology.
Hmm.
And then I explained that what you want to do, what is different between the people who are financially successful and the people who are not. And when it comes down to online marketing, is who has the biggest list. Because if you have 10, and I make the point, if you have 10 people on your email list and I have 100,000 people, and I've used different scenarios. I'll talk about selling chapstick. I brought up chapstick as an example, and I'll say, if I'm going to sell this chapstick, who do you think could sell more units? Me sending an email list to 100,000 people and giving them all an opportunity to buy my chapstick, or you sending it to 10 people? Everyone obviously is going to say Andy with the 100,000.
Yeah.
So what we found that is necessary is you need data, name, email, phone number of your potential customers. Here's how you do it. You get a freebie, and you have them opt in, and then you give them value, and then you do a sales appointment. That's it. So you opt in, we call it OVA, opt in, value, appointment. So opt in to get the value, you give the value, which is the freebie, and then you schedule a sales appointment. So the last step after we capture their name, email, phone number of giving them the video, we then say, hey, that I see that you're interested in buying a house, or I see that you're interested in losing weight, or I see that you're interested in whatever. Let's book a call to see if there's an opportunity. And that's the whole presentation. I don't really show the features. Like in a 90-minute presentation, I think 9 minutes of my presentation is actually the software. Everything else is around the process. It's not about the actual technology itself. It's like around this process. But in order to make it all happen, you're going to need the software. That's why I give it to you to buy at the end. And that's why it's so easy for people to go ahead and buy, because they're like, oh, he wasn't really trying to sell me the software. He was giving me this whole entire system and this whole entire process of lead magnet and sales appointment and so on and so forth. But in order to do all of this, I do need the software. So I'll just grab that, and it makes it so easy. And then we give them a course at the end, a free course that's attached to the software. And then the course is 3 months long. So while they're going through the course, they're still paying for the SaaS. And then at that point, they built their entire campaign. They generated leads. They're staying on the software.
Got it. So the pitch is you're going to get a course and the software comes with it, or it's more like you get the software and the course comes with it. Which one are you focusing or emphasizing more, and how much does it cost?
The value stack is that they're getting the software first. That's the number one, not the course.
Mm-hmm.
So we give them the software first. Software we sell for $749. Then, so that's $749. Then we say, one of the biggest questions that I typically get is, Andy, how do I determine what my freebie is going to be? How do I go in the city and generate the leads? We have an online program that is valued. If I were to sell it, I would sell it for $1,495. If you decide to get the software today, I'll give you the course at no additional charge. Now, so what you have is a software, and you have a foolproof system of me coaching you. Then the last thing is we say, hey, someone on my team will design and build it out for you, and we'll input it inside of the software. So we'll give you our template version. All you got to do is just change one word. Instead of my company name, you add your company name. Instead of my name, my personal name, you add your personal name. So we'll build out all the template for you. If I were to sell that, I would sell that at $995. I'm going to add that. So now you have the software. You have the course. The course is valued at $14.95. The template itself is valued. If you were to hire my marketing agency to build it out for you, it would be $995. I'm gonna give you all of that for $749, which between you and I, it's a snapshot that's already pre-built. It's a course that's pre-recorded that I recorded already. The software it's automatically created, right? So there's no fulfillment on it. It's just all automated. The snapshot's delivered, the course is delivered, and the sub account is delivered. So now the customer has all of this value that's worth thousands upon thousands of dollars, and they can pay their first payment of $749 with a 30-day money back guarantee.
Okay. And that's it on the stack. It's the course, the snapshot, and the software.
Yeah, we don't call it snapshot, but yes.
Yeah. Okay. And why the price point of $749 monthly? Do you find that you're getting more churn with that high price point, or is it the opposite because it's only people that can actually afford it long term? Because that's not for a software and a course and pretty much nothing with like no live support, nothing else. It's a fairly high price point for other similar softwares out there.
There's live support and there's unlimited onboarding, but
Okay.
that's not necessarily factored in on the deal. What we found is that there's spread in there, and there's enough spread that we can go down if necessary. So we do have lower plans, and one of the things is like if I sold the whole package at $97, I mean, how much lower can I go after that, right? For in a scenario. So when I sell at $749, if there were ever to be a challenge, we can downgrade them to our $399 plan and still have profit there. If that were to not be enough, then we can always downgrade it to our $199. So when I see people who are selling like, hey, you get this amazing software with the social planner, the courses, and so on and so forth for $97, it's like, well, if 97 becomes an issue, where can you go from there?
Yeah.
How much lower can you go? Then that's when you start playing this game of who's the closest to zero, and then that's when you start playing a different game of like, okay, I'll sell lifetime, and I'll hope I'll become profitable somehow through lifetime sales. So $749 gives me spread. Number one. Number two, it gives my team so part of the process when we do a webinar, for the people who don't buy, there's something called a post-webinar interview. And that post-webinar interview, real quick, I'll just be real quick. I have a full training on how to do this. Just go to GoSASLaunch.com and you'll see the training. It's me and Paulson from Go High Level, GoSASLaunch.com. However, on the post-webinar interview, the way that it's systematized, Keaton, because it sounds like you like the tactics. That's what it sounds like. You're not really into the whole idea. You want the tactics, right?
100%.
So the post-webinar interview, in the beginning, mind you, I've done over 300 webinars. In the beginning, I would say, let's schedule a follow-up sales call. Nobody's showing up to that, man. No one wants to do a follow-up sales call. So what I did was I had to get creative, and I had to use. I said, hey, can I interview you on a podcast? Can I interview you after the webinar on your experience? Now, not necessarily a podcast that's going to go on Spotify, but we'll use it as testimonials for social media. So what happens is if they don't buy the SaaS or don't buy your product, then what happens afterwards is that you say, can I interview you? And then most people are like, yeah, you want to interview me? I'm gonna be on social media. They get ready, they put on their makeup or whatever, and they come on the call. They come on the call ready to answer questions. What was your experience on the webinar? Did you find it to be valuable? Mm-hmm. Can you give us feedback? And what would you tell someone else who's interested in joining our webinar? And then so they start answering like, oh, you do this differently, do that differently, and so on and so forth. All right, thanks. That's it. That's like 10 minutes. Now, the rest of the call now is like, hey, I did present a product on the webinar. I noticed you didn't buy it. Why not? Why didn't you buy it? And there's a multitude of reasons. It could be I already have a software. I think my software does the same thing. And then once we could do a comparison, the software does it, and then they buy your SaaS. Or one of my students, I have an online course where I teach SaaSpreneurs on how to fulfill this system. And in his journey, his first webinar, he got 0 sales on the webinar. But he did the post-webinar interview process where he interviewed his customer. And the reason that one of the customers didn't buy was because they realized everything that he was teaching was do it yourself. And he wanted someone to do it. The customer wanted someone to do it for them. So now he was able to hire my student in a marketing agency do a $5,000 sale and
Wow.
get the monthly reoccurring because he was able to overcome the objection and say, hey, you know what? I'll do it for you. I didn't know that's what you wanted. I was trying to teach everyone do it yourself, but I'll do it for you. I'll just charge you $5,000 a month and then $297, $5,000 upfront and $297 a month. And then the customer was like, that's what I needed. So let's do the deal. So you're able to understand why the people didn't buy, but also no one wants to join a sales call, but everyone wants to be interviewed. So you do the webinar, then you do the post-webinar interviews.
The value right there, by the way. Anyone that just heard that, that's super legit. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, we've done thousands of those, man. So I don't need to have add to sales calendar. I was talking to someone on Instagram and Facebook, and he was like, I'm trying to get my cost per show up or cost per appointment booking less than $50. And I don't have to play that game because I already got my profit on the webinar by selling a reoccurring subscription product. I'm making my money back. Everything else is just gravy. But then on the back end, I'm creating social media content that's going to help promote my next webinar, as well as getting more people to show up at a higher rate because they're experiencing that it to be an interview. And then number 3, I'm also getting upsells and downsells because I'm able to understand what the objection of the call of not purchasing is, and I'm able to downsell them into another product or sell them into another product that makes more sense for them, or just to answer their question on something that they may have interpreted that was incorrect, and answer that question on why you want to buy my SaaS, and then they end up doing it.
Love it. Love that. I'm just, my head is spinning trying to figure out how we're going to implement this. So super cool. So are you doing a webinar like once a week now? And how are you getting signups for that?
I've been doing that for years, once a month, where you do one webinar every single month, and then you can still have the replay. But when you do the process once a month, it gives you that 4-week marketing window to get as many people to the webinar. Now, every time that someone registers, here's how the back end looks like. And we have a snapshot. If you want the snapshot, go to gosaslaunch.com/webinar kit, and we'll give you the snapshot. It has the templates and everything I'm sharing with you. So, but here's the process. You do a webinar once a month, every single month for the next 12 months. If I were to coach someone on how to get 100 SaaS customers, this is exactly what I would tell them. Commit to the next 12 months. Because the average, all you need is 9 purchases a month, and you'll hit your 100 SaaS customers. That's how we got the gold award a couple of months ago, right? 9 new SaaS customers is all you need. So, and this is how you do it. One webinar, once per month, every single month. In between each webinar, there's a 3 to 4 week marketing cycle for you to market and get as many people to your webinar as possible. So if me by myself, one of the things you brought up in the beginning of the call, this podcast, was doing it with a small team. If it was by myself, at the end of the year, I'm gonna have a couple of thousand people in my sequence. Here's what I would do. I would get my first 60 people, for example, by myself, just hustling in the grind, in the mud, DMing people, going to local events, get my first 60, 70 people. In the sequence, when they register, we're gonna send them a text message and an email that says, hey, 2 tickets just opened up. What 2 people do you want to invite? Go to this webpage and register them. Give me their name, email, and phone number, and go register them. So I got one person. That one person is now going to be an affiliate to bring in 2 other people, essentially. Mm-hmm. The 2 other people that got registered, who's coming to the event, they're going to get the same sequence, and they're going to be asked to bring in 2 other people. So if I get my 60, it just keeps, and I'm never going to stop. Next month, I'm going to go for another 60, and I'm going to do my own, continually market. But that's exactly how we got 6,000 people. Like, you get people to register. I'm out doing presentations, getting as many people to register myself. But then in the sequence, we're asking people to register other people, and it just keeps on going. So that's cool. That's one. The next thing is that if they don't buy, everyone gets invited to the next webinar. So I just had my wife just saw that on our screen, that there was this one client, for example. She went to 12 webinars before she purchased. Before she purchased my SaaS. Now, there's hundreds of people who go to my webinar, so I'm not like micro managing per person. But I looked at this person's history, and I'm like, you've been tagged for the last 12 events. You've attended all 12 events? oh, I love the content, man. I'm like, but it's the same thing. It's like something new pops up every single time. Sometimes it's just a recording, right? Sometimes but it's like something new pops up for her every single time. And then for this person's case, she runs a HOA, like a property management company, right? And in Texas, I guess it was a new law that passed that they needed a website in order to run a property management company. That you needed to have a website with the properties listed that you manage in her specific county in Texas. And so when it was time for her to make the decision, she didn't think of GoDaddy. She didn't think of Wix. She didn't think of whatever platform. She's like, I keep getting bombarded with, not bombarded, but I keep getting invited to these events. I go to them quite frequently every month. And I'm going to go ahead. Next time I go, I'm going to go buy that. And then she came in on the webinar. As soon as I said the price, the link, she bought it. She didn't even care about the price. She was like, I bought it because she'd been hearing it for the last 12. So what you're doing is every time you host a webinar, you're going to be inviting people from past events. One of my top spenders in my HighLevel SaaS, he went to 4 webinars before he purchased. And he's been with us for I don't know how many years, but he went to 4 different events before he purchased. And he's on our highest tier, never has credit card failure, sends out a crazy amount of text messages and emails through rebilling. So we love him as a customer, right? And he loves us because it has a great partnership. We love him as a customer. He pays on time. He does the rebilling, so on and so forth. And we provide him a very valuable software for his growing business, life insurance business. Yeah. He went to 4 events, man. So it's not about getting someone to come in one time and if they don't buy, they're dead. They keep getting invited to every single webinar. So the sequence is you host 1 webinar a month. That's number 1. Every single month, you keep inviting every single person. At the end of each webinar, they're automatically invited to do a post-webinar interview, as well as they're invited to go to the next webinar. And as part of the sequence, they're also asked to invite 2 more people. This is a foolproof system at this point because I know I can make mistakes, man, but this is where I have not made a mistake. And this is very lucrative, my friend.
So what's the conversion rate on the initial webinar? You get 100 people to show up. How many are buying the 747?
10, okay. 10, 12, maybe 15.
And then on the back end, you get how many from the interviews?
6, 5, okay. 6.
All right. So you're looking between 10 and 20. 20 would be like a really good 20% of 100 show ups, let's say. For 20 people to sign up would be like a great week. 10 would be a bad week.
10 would be average, but 20 would
be total, including the interviews on the back end.
Oh, 20, if you're including the interviews on the back end, 20 is on the average. Like okay. 15 to 20 is on the average. And then a good one would be like 40. Okay. A good one would be like 40, yeah.
Dang. Okay. And how many are you typically getting to show up through all the various, you're running ads, I assume. You've just got a big list anyway. You're getting the referrals.
We're not really running ads. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but we did 6,000 without running a bunch of ads, right? And now what my focus is on the infrastructure to be able to manage all these people that are coming in. And we have additional products and services for them that for some of them, right? When you have this system that's like constantly asking people to come in, the way that I found it to be easier to drive traffic is to have joint ventures. And so that's another way where I would go to people with a bigger list and I would go to them and I would say, hey, you have a big email list. Like, for example, there's this company, I'm not going to say their name on the podcast, but there's this company that they host events all around the country. And in order to go to that event, you have to register for that event. And you click a checkbox that allows other people to market to you. And so I would go to them and I would say, hey, do you want to send people my way? And if you send people my way, I'll give you this on the back end. And they're like, yeah, sure. We already have the big email list. And then so they promote my webinars as well. So you can go to other people, right, and say, hey, you have an email list. I've gone to people who have 5 people on their email list and 5 people who have 5,000 people on their email list and give them all opportunities to market to my events and my webinars.
Do you find I feel like the technical marketer in me or the technical webinar people will be like, once a month, like you're going to have such a low show up rate because you're telling people so far in advance. Whereas, the weekly webinar, I think if I remember correctly, Russell Brunson's book says, don't do it more than a week because the show up rate is going to be low. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, so the thing is, there's so much happening to help you market in the front end and the back end, right? So in the front end, you're giving value on the email sequence. So that's why I want to get, I'm giving the group who watches this my snapshot. So the link is gosaaslaunch.com/webinar kit. In the front end, what happens is, yes, gosaaslaunch.com/webinar kit, and you'll be able to download it. It's completely free. Now, in the beginning, it's not about just this one person showing up. It's like we need them to help market the event and register other people, right? In addition to that, we need to give them value of why people are coming in. So when people register, they're getting text messages and emails of past attendees. They're getting additional value of who I am as a presenter. So there's an indoctrination that takes place in the beginning. Like, this is Andy, this is his background. So when they come to the presentation, they're like, "Oh, Andy, you sent me an email. Oh, I heard about this digital online marketing." Like, one of my mentors called it seeding, right? Like, you seed the audience member on what to expect when they come to the event, right? It's like honestly, maybe it's like foreplay. Okay, like it's like that is necessary in the marketing experience in the beginning.
Yeah.
So you seed in the beginning. So that is part of the time frame. Plus, it allows you to get enough people on the webinar. Now, the next thing is you want a big group. If I was just starting out today, Russell Brunson was talking about running ads. I know what book you're talking about, right? You're talking about running ads, getting paid on the front end, so that way you profit on the back end. I was 22 years old on a tour with speakers and making just enough money to get by at the time. I didn't have $5,000 to run on ads. I had to formulate a process that was going to create and I didn't have a team. I didn't have VAs. It was me in the field in whatever city I was in with a laptop. And I had to figure out Zapier and automations, and I can make money this way. So all the stuff that I'm sharing with you is through pain, that I didn't have the money. I didn't have those resources that some of the gurus talk about in their books, right? So I had to figure this out. This is before I even knew who Russell Brunson was. So the first 4 weeks, marketing to fill up the event. The next thing that I want to share is something that we call a buying unit. When we look at live audiences in the seminar space, we know as the presenter, we're not looking at all 100% as people who are going to buy. We might say that there's actually 20 people who can actually buy our product, or 15 people who can buy our product out of 100 people. What the other 85 people do, if there's 100 people in the room and we know 15 only can actually afford and need our product, the 85 people is just there to influence the 15. We're getting the other 85. Who would want this amazing product if you were able to get it today? All 85 is going to raise their hand. So the 15 who can actually buy it is looking behind them. This is in a seminar. They're looking behind them and they're like, damn, like, you saw all those people? Like, the presenter knows 85 can't afford it and 85 don't need it. We're only go for 15. So the buying units, the people who can't buy at the webinar actually help increase sales. They actually help increase sales. So we want to get as many people. So in that 4-week marketing cycle, not only are you seeding, not only are you having them help you promote, but you're also getting as many people as you possibly can at your event to show up, because they're going to help you sell to the 20 people that actually can buy, that actually have a need and have the money to go ahead and buy your product.
Wow. Okay, but just to play devil's advocate here, I hear about the event on February 1st, let's say, but it's not happening until March 1st. Am I much less likely to show up because of that 4-week marketing cycle? Or how do you think about that?
On a case-by-case scenario, the answer is yes. Like, if I'm 100% sure that there is somebody who's going to say, it's 4 weeks away, I'm not going to come, right? I'm not going to come. We're going to get you regardless. We're going to get you. Have I lost people because of that? I'm sure I have, right? I'm sure I have. But have I gotten people because I did it within this process? I'm also sure of that as well.
Fair.
Right? Because we seeded them in the beginning. We got them to promote it to 2 of their friends and 2 of their family members or whoever, and those 2 helped us promote. So I got me getting 1 person instead of sending John to the webinar that happens tomorrow. Instead of me getting John to the webinar that happens tomorrow, I'm having John promote to 2 people, and those 2 people promoted to another 2 people in that same cycle. It increases my odds, and that's why I do it, because I'm not a gambling man. I'm a man of increased odds, and so it increases my odds to get as many people.
Very smart.
Most recently, I'll share this with you though. We started using a software called Webinar Core, webinarcore.com. And in Webinar Core, it allows my event to play every single day. I'm actually on a webinar right now as we speak. And it has a chat simulator. I'm sure you've seen that technology where it has a chat simulator, and it makes my customer feel like it's a live webinar where there's like a chat going on that's pre-written, and my team can go ahead and respond to the individuals that are live and present. But it's a pre-recording of my past webinar, and people go ahead and buy that, and that plays every single day, no matter where I'm at. It plays. So I do have that system going. But as far as if I were to start and get my first 100 SaaS customers, that's who I'm talking to today, I would just do the 4-week marketing cycle so that way I can market enough. I will get enough people to come to my event. If you do it weekly, you end up not having enough time to do the post-webinar interviews as well as the seeding in the front end. You don't have enough time if you do it weekly with all the things that I share with you.
Okay. And another thing that most people I think struggle with when they're first doing a webinar is, how do I make this simple enough that people are having the light bulb moments that they need to have, but they're not complex enough that they're like just running off and getting overwhelmed at the end of the webinar? I personally struggle with this quite a bit because I got into the space with overhyped webinars with story after story after story instead of real value. And so when I do it, I'm like, oh, I want to do the opposite, but it doesn't convert as well. And so personal, like ethical struggle for me. I wonder if you have any thoughts on that. And then just in general, for people getting into speaking, webinars, selling from stage or selling from online one-to-many areas, what advice do you have for them?
So from an ethical perspective, I would ask this: what is considered value to you? And what I mean by that is the transformation doesn't take place until someone buys. People pay and then they pay attention. It's not the vice versa, right? So if my job is to transform someone's life, and we know that the transformation starts once they make the transaction. Once they invest their money, that's when they invest their time, their energy, and other resources to create a transformation in their life. So if my job is to get people to buy, it's to transform, then what we understand is that we need to get people to buy. Now, confused minds do not buy. It's impossible. Like, they're just so confused that they're not going to buy. So if we understand that confused minds do not buy, then we need to communicate in the most simplest way that at the end of a presentation, there's no confusion at all. The biggest challenge that I've seen with marketers like yourself, like myself, Keaton, is that we're so submersed into this world, and we look at certain things that are complex, and we're geniuses in our right of mind. We look into certain things that are complex, and we simplify it in our brains, and our brains look at it and we're like, oh, this is so simple. This is create an opt-in page with a VSL with an automation sequence that follows up for the next 30 days, nurture sequence. That's simple. With a thank you page that tracks their pixel. Oh, that's easy. That's simple. And then a plumber is looking at you like, what?
What are those words you just said?
What the hell are you talking about, dude? What the hell are you talking? So what the problem that I found is, how does a genius that's so smart communicate in a way that other people can understand without feeling dumb? And as a marketer like yourself and me, what I found is my hardest challenge is simplifying it. But because if you see today, when you go to my webinar, you're gonna look at my campaign and my whole system, and you're gonna be Andy. You're telling me someone's gonna spend $750 for one workflow, one snapshot, and all the snapshot is one workflow? For $750, I should be getting funnels, email sequences, opportunities board, API integration, and someone's left leg for that for $750. But The plumber who's not in this digital world, for $750, you're telling me the software will just respond for me? So that means I don't have to pay somebody? That's worth my $750. Sign me up. So what I found, man, is that, and trust me, I've had my own struggles as well, my friend, right? What I found is once you get to that moment where you're like, this is so stupid, that's when you start getting rich. When you look at selling something that's like, this is so stupid, someone could go ahead and do this. So many people have come to my events who are like marketing wizards or whatever, and they'll be like, Andy, why would I need to buy your SaaS for $750? I can go to HighLevel and pay $97 and or whatever and get their SaaS. I'm like, great, do it. But like the other 15 people that purchased today, they're not marketers. They're not trying to figure out and funnel hack me. And is this $750 worth my bread? And if the answer is yes, they buy. And for me, what I found is that simple thing, chat automation. On my webinars, I don't talk about websites. I don't talk about funnels. No one knows what a funnel is on my trainings, on my webinar. I don't talk about funnels. I don't talk about opportunities board. I don't talk about any of the memberships. I don't talk about any of that. We just say conversations tab to see all your messages and this little thing called workflow. And the whole entire software is designed just to capture their name, email, and phone number. That is it. And then once they're in and they're using that, 3 months in, 4 months in, they may say, hey, I'm getting a lot of leads. Is there a way I can track some of the leads? And then that's when we put them through a onboarding for the opportunities board. And just that will blow their mind. And they're like, wow, this is definitely worth the $750. And then another 3 months after that, they will be like, man, I wish I could like have a website that was connected. Guess what? Let's turn that feature. It's on. You can have websites inside of your software now. What? I'm in, baby. That's. And then after a couple of months, they're like, man, I wish I could take payments instead of using this other system. Now they're a year in on my SaaS. They spent all this money, and then we just keep on adding value where someone else is like, for $97, you can have this whole thing, and then it's confusing, and no one understands how to use it, and a SaaSpreneur who sells 4 units for $97, they're on all these support calls and giving away information on memberships and sites and funnels and so on and so forth, and they're boggled down with 4 customers and they can never scale, and they're only making $400 monthly recurring revenue with 4 customers on $97 a month. When I could sell 10 units of $750, for example, on one webinar, and they all go through a course that teaches them on just a small feature, which is we call it chat automation, which is just workflow and the conversations tab. And we sell 10 units, so simple. They get set up in a day. The next thing that they're doing is they're just marketing their phone number and their specific keyword. They're getting leads. They're excited, and to them, it's the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, I love that, especially the additional value for no additional cost down the line. Super cool. All right, Andy, I know you got to go. This was massively helpful. Anybody that needs to check out what Andy was talking about, links will be below, and follow him on socials. Andy, thanks again so much for coming on, man.
Keaton, man, it was a pleasure. I'm glad to be on this deal with you. You're creating so much value for the community, and I acknowledge you for the work that you do every single day in your business, my friend.
Thanks, man. Take care.